What are red flags in a friendship most people brush away? Always asking for favors but never there when you need them to return one. I remember one time I needed a lift halfway across the UK and none of my friends would take me. One of my online friends who lived not too far away, who I help out a lot, just said, "Say no more, I'll be there in 15 minutes, get your shit." Safe to say he is one of my closest and best friends. You see, you got a private message from him and your gut reaction is to start getting nervous or anxious. What is it this time? This was happening with me for months before the friendship imploded. It was always something, and none of it good. Friends who are always happy to talk about themselves but never once ask you how you're doing or anything engaging you to talk about yourself. They only talk to you when all of their other friends are gone. Oof, this hit close to home. My best friend in high school once specifically requested for me to post a picture of us for National Best Friend Day, or some similar holiday. I asked if she'd be posting a picture of us too. "No, I have a lot of best friends. But I'm your main best friend, so you should post a picture of us," was her response. The next couple years were full of backstabbing and gaslighting, complete with occasional fallings out until we finally stopped speaking. Looking back, I can't believe I didn't see it coming. Good riddance to her. That's awful that she said that to you, and I hope you've better, more considerate people in your life to appreciate you. Being dismissive of all your interests and achievements. Meanwhile, everything they do, no matter how mundane, is amazing. Ugh, I had a friend like this. She literally blocked me on social media when I was doing well at my job because she couldn't be happy for me, but then she sends me messages on a weekly basis about how great her very ordinary office job is. Edit, there's nothing wrong with office jobs, she just acts like she's the first person to ever have one and expects people to be excited for her all the time. When they push other people out of the friend group. It happened in my group where there were 5 of us, she joined and basically bullied 3 out of the group. But it wasn't obvious bullying. A lot of things change, next thing I know I'm being treated like shit to the point I hate myself. Me and my friend managed to leave and make friends with the original 5 again. The one that kicked everyone out is very social and no one really likes her because she's not nice, but she's now found herself with no friends. Friends that aren't happy for your success and happiness, but are very close when you're sad. Are the emotional vampires. That's how they feed. I've got a friend who loves to talk about himself, everything is always about him. So, when I'm out with my friends and he's in our group, we created a game where you have to drink every time he starts a conversation about himself. It's made it a lot more tolerable. Edit, to those of you who think we do it behind his back, I never said we do. It's something we've talked about with him plenty of times and he's aware of. He's not a bad guy at all, it's just how he is, he also doesn't mean anything bad by it. He's aware we do it, we're all just super close, so we've just made a game out of it and now he often catches himself doing it. They don't ask about you, they just turn every conversation about themselves. When you talk about exams, they don't ask you how you did, they just talk about themselves. When you talk about not sleeping well, they talk about how they didn't sleep. When you tell them you broke up with your SO, they talk about their SO, etc. Some people think that that is how you show empathy, by showing you have similar problems. It becomes a real problem when they combine it with being a topper. I slept awful last night. Woke up at 3 and just gave up. Ugh, me too. I never did fall asleep and I just laid on the couch all night. Inability or unwillingness to apologize when he or she does something wrong. It's symptomatic of an ego issue that will eventually infect every aspect of your friendship. I feel this one. Had a friend like that who always managed to put the blame on me, and it made me so frustrated that at one point I snapped when a common friend of us experienced that same toxic behavior. She found out later and got super mad at me for trash talking her. Lol, maybe I am the bad guy. They call you only when they need you. And then you feel guilty when you get mad because they've had a rough upbringing or something. And you feel like a bad friend and like maybe you're overreacting. Because you know, they've been through a lot. But still you want to vent to them about your problems because they might be able to sympathize, but then you think that the problems have been worse than yours, so you really can't complain because in comparison you don't have shit to complain about. And they don't call you or text you for a few months, but suddenly they get into an argument with somebody and they're always in the right and they need somebody to reassure them that they deserve better. Sounds about right. I have friends like this, but it prevents them from being good friends. Having to censor yourself. I have friends with different religious, political beliefs that I think are absolutely insane. I don't endorse what they say, but I just keep my mouth shut. Because I know they wouldn't be okay with it, and the purpose of these friendships usually revolve around sports, music. If you have had a friend for a long time, but you only seem to be able to talk about memories in the past. Each time you get together or exchange messages, it's remember in high school, or remember that time when. Could be a sign that you both have grown apart and do not have much in common today that you can connect on. I don't think it is necessarily a bad thing or a red flag though. My best friend and I see each other maybe twice or thrice a year, even though we live half an hour by train. We occasionally write or send us a couple of things maybe once or twice a week. We don't really have much in common today, we don't know much about what's going on in the other's life either. But yes, the past connects us. We ask each other for comfort and advice, we reminisce about old days a lot, and when we meet we talk as if the other person was never gone. We surely aren't that close anymore, we have grown apart. But we're still there for each other. Of course it can apply as a red flag though. Just saying it doesn't have to be all bad. This is subtle and a bit counterintuitive, but beware of the rescuer martyr. The person that's always rushing out to help and give everyone else their all, whether or not it's needed or whether the recipient is comfortable with it. They are good people, very well intentioned and saintly in their generosity with their time and energy. However, sometimes it goes to the extreme, and then it's more a symptom of a toxic cycle where they only get meaning and self-worth when they are saving someone. For these latter people, they tend not to have good boundaries, get over-involved in your life, take on way too much and make everyone's problems their own. They end up overwhelmed, mired in drama, and resentful. And then they become the martyr. The problem with being friends with this type of person is that you're not in an equal friendship where everything is mostly good and occasionally there's ups and downs and you support each other through them. It's more like you're a project, everyone's a project, and once you stop being a project you're now support, not just for them and their own problems, but part of the fire brigade for their other projects, which they've internalized as their own problems and drama. When they cancel plans, they always do it last minute. Or just not show up. I had a friend who would ignore my messages asking where they were, and they would always message 3 days later that they were in the hospital or something. Every time. Not just once or twice, and like. It was a couple. One of you can answer me even if that were true. Someone who is all nice, great, attentive, supportive, etc. When you're alone but acts differently when other people are around. Don't make excuses for your friend, this is 100% uncool. At the very least, it shows some bad insecurities on their part, at worst it's a sign they are genuinely using you.